Good evening. Welcome to Let's Talk Maywood on Diversity Today Media. I am your host, Dr. Reggie Ratliff, and joining me right now is my co-host, investment advisor, and my co-laborer in the vineyard, Terrence Hollingsworth. Terry, are you there?
Hello, Dr. Ratliff. How are you doing?
I'm good, my brother. Before we get started, there seems to be some background feeding going on. Can you hear
I do not hear it.
that? Yeah, there's some background going on.
Let's see.
We may have, we may have to do a take two.
Hey, Bridget, they can hear you. Turn it down. Um, are you still getting it?
Yeah. Um, nope, I don't think so.
Okay, good.
Whatever Bridget did, it worked.
All right, sounds good. So, I got this shirt on, Live Generously. I wore it on purpose because, part of what we do is, we work in investment banking and, you want to, do a public good, a community good, and things like this. But um, our guests tonight, they are really in the place of empowering people and more importantly, empowering women. And so this is going to be really good for us. I'm familiar with the work and, hopefully, everybody gets something out of it. But before we bring her on, let's talk a little bit about the stock market. Inflation report came back and we're at 6.4%. Last month we were at 6.5%. And what have I been saying about inflation? Which is the federal government has said we are going to continue to raise interest rates until we see inflation down to 2%. And that's just a fact. So what does that mean? The next month we probably are going to be looking at another interest rate increase. So hey, Dr. Ratliff, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Okay. So, yeah. So checking 1, 2, 3. Terry, 1, 2, 3.
No, I'm not getting any feedback at all, actually, or the echo that you're talking about.
So I'm giving. See, I can hear you twice. Yeah, it's like when you talk, those old Japanese movies when somebody did some
Uh,
kung fu. I'm gonna
right.
beat you. That's what I'm getting. Bruce Lee and all them. Yeah, we may have to do it.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's just see. I don't know if we can start this broadcast over. To be totally honest.
You want to go right to the guest? We can bring the guest on and see how that works.
Yeah, let's try. Let's see let's try it.
Okay, sounds good. I'm excited about this guest.
We are going to welcome Latrena Artist from the Jeanette Rankin Foundation.
Nice.
Well, good evening. Good evening. Thanks so much, Terrence, for the invitation. Dr. Ratliff, again, I'm excited to be here with you guys on this evening to talk just a little bit about, the Jeanette Rankin Foundation, the opportunities that are available to you guys, and, hopefully just enlighten you on what we do as a foundation. Dr. Ratliff, am I good? Do you hear that? Do you still hear the echo with me, or yeah? No, maybe so. Okay. Awesome.
I do hear some echo, but hopefully the audience does not. So I'm going to just use double sensor to see if it can work. But I want to introduce some of the work that you're doing, if you don't mind, with the audience. So, Latrena, who's here with me right now, she's a woman who knows that all things are possible for those who believe. That is called faith. Latrena was destined to link arms with Rankin Foundation in December of 2011 as a Rankin Scholar, and we'll talk about that. Latrena has served as a Scholar Grant Program Director at the Rankin Foundation since October of 2015. Latrena's perseverance has propelled her to succeed and help those she's crossed paths with to do the same thing. Latrena has a passion for people and is dedicated to excellence. She has a BA from the University of Georgia, the Bulldogs, in the Human Development and Family Science, and a BA from Andersonville Theology Seminary in Theology. Latrena has received several awards, including Georgia Woman of the Year Scholar and University of Georgia Amazing Student. Latrena is married to Mark Artist. They have two sons, Cameron and Jeremy. So thank you for being on the show again. I just want to ask you one question. All right. You are a Bulldog. You guys just won the national championship for the second consecutive year. Are you a fan of Georgia?
Listen, I'm gonna have to give it to you just because you gonna put me on the spot. Go Dogs! That's wrong, Dr. Ratliff. So he's laughing because I share it with something. We'll leave that comment back before the recording.
Right.
However, it is, second time around, great accomplishment, to come out of that over into this. I think sometimes 2 times it takes to be, it takes 2 times for some of us to get what we need to get. And I say that because being a former Jeanette Rankin Scholar, that meant that I started out with my education at one point, but then I stopped. Life happened. But guess what? I was afforded the opportunity to do it again. And that means go back to school to further my education. And I'm grateful for the Jeanette Rankin Foundation because it afforded me that opportunity. I will say, because I don't want to give that it's a full ride. It is not. However, our scholar grants are what we call unrestricted funds, traditionally $2,500 annually that you can receive if you're going full time, but that money can be utilized in whatever way you see fit. That sets us apart from other organizations because, say, for instance, most organizations that give scholar grants, it's for tuition or books or housing or things of that nature. If you need a tire, you can take those funds and replace your tire or tires. So that's one thing that I think is certainly unique about our scholar grant. Also, our scholar grant is renewable. So if you are working on your first, let me make that real clear, first bachelor's degree or lower, it could be a certification that you're doing. As long as you have not already received a bachelor's degree, you are certainly eligible to apply for our scholar grant. And I certainly recommend and suggest and beg of anybody that is on this live or watching this recording, apply for every scholar grant that you would like. Okay. I just got asked a question, and I'm sorry, I got to reframe my thinking. We use JRF internally, which is really a little acronym we use for Jeanette Rankin Foundation. So you will hear me from this point forward probably refer to it as Rankin Foundation because we're kind of trying to rebrand. If you're familiar with anything in Montana, there is a Jeanette Rankin Peace Center. So we're kind of trying to brand just the name per se when we say it so that there's a distinction. So again, I'm training myself. Thank you for asking that question, and scratch that thought for JRF. Just say Rankin Foundation.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other comments or thoughts even about that, what I just shared? Because again, the main thing I really want to let you know that the resource of the scholar grant, again, is just unique within itself. I'm going to go ahead and share this, but I want to share it almost with an urgency, but also to inform you about what's to come for next year. Our scholar grant application cycle is presently open. But it closes on Friday. So, which means you're never too late. I'm going to go ahead and give you this website so you can go to it now and actually look at it. And if you are really, I want to say proactive and probably got some quick fingers and could get in there and get it done, as he shared in the beginning, I believe all things are possible. So you can certainly get it done. So Rankin, just the first name, Rankin, foundation.org is where you need to go. And there's right up toward the top, there's a section that says for students. You will see two opportunities. One is the Emerge Scholar Grant, and the other one is a National Scholar Grant. Since depending on where you're logging in from, if you're in Georgia or Montana, that's the Emerge Scholar Grant. And that is merely because of the only difference and distinction is the age. Okay. But if you live anywhere outside of Georgia and Montana, you would need to be 35 or older and already be in school now. You got to already be in school. And again, working toward your first bachelor's degree or lower. So again, go now. Well, no, don't go now. Listen to me. Then you can go after. Okay. We get done. However, you will, just get in there. And even if you don't think you can complete it, I'm dropping some tea for you. Go in there, look at the information that you will need to have and prepare yourself for next year if you'll still be in school. Okay. Take that tip because I promise you'll be appreciative of it. Okay. So good stuff. All right. It opens every year. Every year, our cycle is the same. It opens normally about that second week of November. Okay. So like this year, second, thirdish week, I think we open November 14th. And we're traditionally open until about mid-February. So you have a good length of time to get in there and to get your application completed, successfully reviewed, and submitted in a timely manner. Okay. So we don't want you to feel rushed. Again, if you think you can get it done this year, cool beans, go for it, get it done. But if you think you're going to be rushed and you'll be in school, certainly consider coming back next year, this year. I'm sorry. We're already in 2023, November. Let me go ahead and give you an actual date. I'll give you a real date as to when we will get this one open. So we would be looking at about November the 13th of 23 that we will open the application cycle. Yes, my sister, proud Rankin Scholar. Oh my goodness.
Indeed.
The sisterhood is real.
So this shows it does work. You have a testimony right there from Bridget. So let me ask you this question. Who was Jeanette Rankin, and what are the principles of the Rankin Foundation?
Listen, I should have started out with that. If you don't know Jeanette Rankin, shame on you, first of all. Secondly, let me go ahead and drop some more tea. Jeanette Rankin was the first woman elected to Congress. Why do we not know her name? Now, it ain't necessarily Black history, but thank you for pulling that up. But here's the thing. It is certainly history. So do yourself a favor and go before women even had the right to vote. This woman was elected to Congress. Now, do you not tell me that is not something that needs to be known by everybody, everywhere? And why is it not? Okay, so let's talk about how it got connected to us. Those may not know, of course, she was connected because she was in Montana, okay, when she was elected to Congress. However, she lived, you're talking about 50 years of her life in Georgia, actually in Watkinsville, Georgia. And so when she passed away, there was proceeds from the sale of her home. So there was a bequeath that was left for $16,000. So from $16,000 for us when we started the organization in 1978, giving our first scholar grant at that time to $500 to a woman who was in nursing, who actually is still living and that we're still in contact with, to now you're talking about 46 years later, we have awarded over $4 million in scholar grants, had an impact of women. You're talking about $1,400, $1,500 scholar grants that have been given over the course of this time. And more tea. We've given a scholar grant in every state in the United States. So you're talking about coverage. I think we got it covered.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So this podcast being called Let's Talk Maywood, I am thinking about my hometown and the name of this podcast and those who benefit from this beautiful opportunity. Maywood being a working class community, it's a really small community, about 24,000 in totality, mostly African American. Many single parents who aspire to complete their studies, if you will. How can those professionals and scholars who are 35 and older take advantage of this opportunity, the Jeanette Rankin Foundation Scholarship? Because I'm sure they don't. Most don't know about it.
Yeah. And again, thank y'all for the opportunity to allow us the platform to inform and educate others about this opportunity. First and foremost, if you have that desire to go back to school, that's the first. It got to start there. You have to already have kind of crossed that hurdle and either be accepted or already enrolled. Second step is what I just said, is going over to rankinfoundation.org. It's scrolling now across this screen. If you think you have the energy and willpower to get in there and get it done, and I believe in you, girl power, you can do it. You can get in there and complete this application. Let me say this to you, woman to woman. We are stronger than we think. We can certainly do more than we think we can, and oftentimes do. So do not allow hindrances or roadblocks or whatever it is that may be an obstacle at this point to stop you from applying for not only the Rankin Foundation Scholar Grant, but any grant that you see that you may qualify for. This just sets yourself up. This sets you up for success. Let me tell you, loans is what you don't want to have lingering after you finish your education. However, if you do not go and apply, and it's intimidating, I'm going to be honest with you. It can be very intimidating to not want to go in there and apply because you're afraid of the no. But guess what? If you don't go in there, it's an automatic no. At least if you go in there, there's a possibility for a yes. Okay. So come on now. At least give yourself that possibility of a yes. I'm getting in preach mode, so I need to bag myself back. Look, the preacher, Dr. Ratliff said, I feel my help coming on. I ain't trying to preach. So let me make sure I stick to the script.
I did.
And then, so this, one of the things that I think I know, it's not I think I know, that is unique for what I call the sisterhood. I saw Bridget on there. I always refer to them as my sisters. Why? Because I was them. I was the one that was a scholar back in 2011, going back to complete my education. So I have the lived experience, but guess what? I'm now a success story. So they get to look at me and see that this works. We can do it. But what we provide for our scholars is certainly unique. One of the main things that we do now is we have an emergency fund, Dr. Ratliff. Life happens.
Yes.
Guess what? And not everybody can afford to buy 4 brand new tires. But if you need to drive your car to get to your school, what happens when you can't afford to purchase those tires? What happens when the housing market just goes upside down and you can't even afford to pay your rent? Okay. What happens when they deny you for TANF or, SNAP benefits and you need to feed your family? One thing I am so proud of is that for the last 2 years, in addition to their unrestricted scholar grant, our scholars can apply. So, when I say apply, it's really not even apply. It's almost like request emergency funds. Who does that? The Jeanette Rankin Foundation does it, because we do not want there to be any barriers that will cause them to have to stop their education. Again, we're talking about women 35 and over, because if we know if there's a delay normally in their education, they're less likely to get back in and to complete their education. So we want to try and remove any of those barriers that we'll probably face. So that one in itself. The sisterhood is brought about. We have a private Facebook group. Thank you for putting all of this stuff up. We have a private Facebook group that we share out to all of our scholars. And it just serves as a platform for them sometime to be able to vent. That it may just be somebody needs help with some dinner preparations or some food prep or whatever. Who knows? I mean, the list goes on and on, but it's also a platform for them to go in there and be proud of the accomplishments that they're making. And their sisters, I'm telling you, they pile on like, oh my goodness, it's crazy how this organically works for us. Another resource that I'm certainly proud of is most of us that are in a full-time employment, our employers offer what they call an EAP, an employee assistance program, where you have access to various types of financial support, legal support. You can log in and, talk with an attorney or whatever. I'm going to share just this one story because I think stories always stick. We're a very small organization. It's only 4 full-time, well, really 5, 4 full-time, 2 part-time staff that work with our foundation. And we're a national organization. We serve this year 133 scholars. I'm the only sole scholar grant director, and we have a scholar support specialist. There's no way that I could truly serve everyone. However, when they're in crisis mode, let's just think about the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, I couldn't provide any type of mental support and assistance. I'm not a trained therapist, okay? Not a trained psychologist, but guess what they could do? They could pick up this phone number. It's an 800 number 24/7. If they were in crisis mode or if they weren't in crisis mode, they could get on this phone and call and always get somebody on the other line that could assist them. One of our scholars had a home and they were doing she was going through a modification. It was almost going to double what her mortgage was going to be. Of course, she called us and we panicking like, we might can help you get 1 month of that mortgage. But after that, she was able to call this EAP that we use. They were able to write a legal letter to really help her rectify this situation. That was game changer for me. So no, I can't. But guess what? I have an 800 number that you can reach out to. So, and again, that's only one testimony and one story of the things that our scholars have been able to really glean just from those opportunities. So just know, don't sleep on the EAP.
I love that you provide additional services. The scholarship alone is huge, but to provide the complimentary services is truly a blessing. And we just put out there that delay does not mean denial. And you yourself, recipient of the award, you have turned your test into a testimony. What is your testimony? All right. So the sisters in my hometown of Maywood, Revival Scholarship, outside of Chicago, nationwide, those who are on this podcast, what is your testimony? We're Latrena Artist.
Listen, Dr. Ratliff, we need a long time, but I'm going to get to you. I'm going to sum it up. I'm just a little girl from the projects in Athens, Georgia, that had a wish to further her education. I'm not going to tell you it came easy because I decided to have a family. This is why I want to make you aware. I chose to have a family, to have my children. And I went back at the time I decided to go back and further my education. I was coming out of a real tough divorce and probably was really the catalyst that made me go back to decide I needed to go back and finish my bachelor's degree. Guess what? I got it done though. I'm telling you, it was a rough spot, but I knew that education was going to be the platform that I needed to get me and my family where I wanted them to be. I didn't want to be dependent upon SNAP benefits. I'm not knocking it because it got me over the bridge. Okay. So look, SNAP is good. But what I need you to understand is that's not where you want to stay if you want to be able to provide for your family. The Jeanette Rankin Foundation giving me that yes is really just almost the courage that I needed to get in there. And I got so aggressive. That's how I ended up with a second bachelor's. I was like, oh, this school thing is doing something for me. So don't get too aggressive because you don't want to have a lot of debt, in which, not have a lot of debt, but enough. But again, here, all it was my desire. And it was almost kind of like, I'm going to show you that this is what you decided you wanted to not be a part of, honey, you done lost beauty and brains. Now I had to put work behind it now. Let's just keep it real. But again, here, this is what I made the decision that education was going to be that platform for me and my family. And I'm so grateful. So very grateful.
Beautiful story. And you know, it kind of reminds me of you having that cup. People want to drink out your cup, but they don't know the content in a cup. And you mentioned a few things: divorce, single parent, getting back on the right track, getting back on the horse and getting back in there and riding that wave for that, not one bachelor's, but 2 bachelor's degrees. I mean, what a tremendous blessing and testimony that I hope people out there are listening. As a Black woman, all right, how does that feel to get over that threshold and accomplish that goal? How does that feel? Talk about that for a moment.
Listen, if nothing else, we here in Black History Month, I hope I have been a role model for my 2 boys to be like, if at the time when I first started, I want to say my oldest was maybe 7 and my youngest was 5. So they were still really, really young. Mindful now, my oldest is 21 and my youngest is 18, almost 19. So just know they saw me struggle, but they also now see the success being, say, for instance, when mom couldn't take them to McDonald's, or if they wanted a certain thing, I couldn't do it because financially I couldn't afford it. Now, I'm not saying I'm rich, but pretty much wherever they want to go to eat now, I can. So again, just knowing me sticking to that particular, my goal, my dream, getting it done, I have been that role model. And as a Black woman that came out of the projects, that statistics said, first of all, I wouldn't make it out of the projects. Right. Not only not make it out of the projects, not make it out with 5, 6, 7 children. That wasn't the case. I decided to wait. So now I can go back into my community and let them that I grew up in and say, look, this is the path I chose to take. If you want to come this path, you can. Let me show you how I do it. So now when I say my passion, it was almost like, it was just almost like a divine opportunity that I crossed paths with the Jeanette Rankin Foundation. These women are kind of coming through a path. It may not be through the projects, but it could have been through some other way. But right. I have a testimony that can link and connect with them. And the only thing I do is I'm pulling them along. We can do this. I'm their greatest cheerleader.
Nice. Now, is JRF only in the United States? Is it for anyone outside, like Canada or Mexico?
Yeah, no, it's only in the United States. Again, here, all of the states we've covered, and we're continuing to look to cover them. I'm hopeful that one day it'll be outside of it, but yeah. And so, let's talk about that, because I just shared with you, we are a small organization. Really, again, only 4 full-time staff. How do we get it done? I'm telling you, it takes a village. It takes more than a village. It takes a lot of people that have a desire to fund the mission. That's pretty much what it's called. And we have some loyal individuals that give to our organization monthly. We have individuals that give on an annually basis. There are individuals who have larger pockets that can do endowments that help do it. But I want you to know that every dollar that you give, that you choose to give toward the Rankin Foundation, I promise you, goes to support an amazing woman that's doing some phenomenal things. So the opportunity certainly is there. Rankin Foundation as well, that donate button right up top. You can certainly go over there if you feel so desired or moved to give a financial contribution over to the organization.
Nice. I just have one more question for you. During this process for yourself with your own personal testimony, because stories they are permanent and they do speak. Did you ever want to quit? And if so, when? As you were.
Ooh, now wait a minute. You trying to make me cry?
I just want a testimony. I'm
gonna be honest with you.
A lot of testimony.
I wanted to quit so many times. I promise you, I did. And that's where I think we really gain our strength, because The strength is not in you deciding to quit. The strength is you figuring out a way how to stay in and get it done. Okay. I promise you, there was probably not a month that went by, because again, I'm going to remind you, I was doing it as a single parent.
Mhm.
I'm grateful that I did have some support. My mother and my stepfather, they were there. So I'm grateful for them. However, I promise you, at 3:00 a.m., when I finally got the children down and I decided I needed to get in and study, there was nothing easy about that. And I'm going to keep it real. I was going to a prestigious university, and the academics was challenging. So whereas somebody could have read the text one time, I'm a slow reader. And oftentimes I process things slow. So let me help you keep it real. Sometimes I had to read this literature 2 and 3 times just for it to sink in. So you're talking about wanting to quit, but did I have a village, honey? Because I'll be calling them at 3:00 and y'all better pray for me, because I'm not going to class tomorrow. I'm done. But of course, I had some real cheerleaders that was cheering me on. So I'm telling you, my sisters, I'm gonna call y'all my sisters. Surround yourself with people who won't allow you to quit. And that's what I had. And again, success it started to just almost grab me. After I was like, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do that too. And after a few of those A's, I was like, okay, y'all ain't no stopping me. Ain't no stopping me now. That was my song. Okay. So I would rock it out just like that. And of course, I'm telling you, get to whatever. Yes, definitely graduation. We had, thank you, my friend, my sister, guys. And I just remember about this, and I think it was just the best thing, I think, for some of our scholars. When the pandemic hit, a lot of them weren't able to attend their personal graduations. What we choose to do, Dr. Ratliff, is celebrate them however we can. Guess what we did? We had an online graduation, honey. Y'all won't let them walk in the schools. They have earned this degree. So I'm grateful for those who stuck it out even during the pandemic and stayed the course. You're talking about wanting to quit, but I'm going to challenge you on tonight. I don't care how hard it is. Whoever is watching this, because it's evidently somebody that's watching that needs to hear this, do not quit. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care how difficult it is. I don't even care if you decide you want to quit tonight. Guess what you got to do tomorrow? Get yourself up and put yourself together and go to school. Okay? Or matter of fact, get up, get yourself together and complete this application so that you can further your education.
Love it. Love it. Sister Latrena Artist, it's been a privilege and a blessing to talk to you. I love sharing your testimony. And I pray that those who are listening are empowered by the education you provided about the important foundation, the JRL, as well as those who aspire towards greatness. I'm going to give you the final word, give you a minute or two for closing thoughts, and then we'll go from there. Thank you so much. The mic is yours.
Awesome. Again, thank you guys so much for the opportunity to share. What I want you to take away from this is, and I said it, just because it's delayed, if it's time for you to go back to school, don't hesitate another day. I promise you, your end result starts at the beginning. The beginning is completing that first scholarship application or entry, getting it done. Of course, you got to go to the school and get an acceptance. But not only that, what I want to share with you, the Jeanette Rankin Foundation is certainly here to hopefully support some of you that will fill this application out, like hopefully today or maybe tomorrow, or if not next year. And just understand that you really do gain a sisterhood. I promise you, I'm the same silly person for all of my sisters that are connected. And we want to see you succeed. Not only us, all of the donors, all of the individuals that are connected to this foundation. That's what our mission is. Our mission is to get you to college completion. That's why we're a renewable organization scholar grant. You can renew it up to 5 years. Hopefully that will get you across the finish line. And we got to be doing something right, Dr. Ratliff and Terrence, because we have an 87% persistence rate. I shared an infographic over with you. Who does that? The traditional student isn't persisting at that rate. but it's evident that something is being done right at the Jeanette Rankin Foundation, and I'm certainly proud to be a part of it. And I hope that you will consider being a part of it, if not by giving. There are volunteer opportunities. Definitely reach out to me. I'm more than willing. I can put my contact information. I don't know if you have that, Terrence, but I would love to put my contact information for you. I'm looking for application readers like now. So if you're interested in reviewing applications for those who apply for the Scholar Grant, you can do that from the comforts of your home. Reach out to me now. We will begin that here in the beginning of March. I think we have trainings scheduled for March 5th and March 7th. So reach out to me and I can definitely get you more information.
Fantastic. Powerful words, powerful testimony by Sister Latrena Artist. I'd like to thank her. I'd like to thank the donors who contribute to such a successful organization, the Jeanette Rankin Foundation. Please take advantage of this resource, those of you who are in Maywood as well as Proviso Township. And we're going to end our podcast with that on a great note, a positive note, and be a blessing to all of you who are going to consider and become active and fill out that application tonight. Do it tonight before you go to bed, all right? First thing in the morning, no later than that. With that said, I am Dr. Reggie Ratliff. On behalf of Terrence Hollingsworth and Diversity Today Media, thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk Maywood. Please like us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. Have a blessed evening. Be safe. Good night.